This is the John Hallett podcast powered by ClearSky Training. If you're training with us in Castle Rock, Colorado, this is the thinking behind what we do at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. Let's get into this one, Josh. Why weekend seminars or weekend self-defense seminars don't work.
They don't?
No,
they do, don't they?
You know, I get this question every few months, and especially I hate, like, as we get closer to college, you know, can I just do a weekend seminar? Can I just put my daughter in, you know, this 2 or 3 hour thing?
Get her ready for college.
They're busy, you know, I just want them to learn something, you know, that's understandable. But here's the truth. You know, you can't learn self-defense in a weekend. No. You know, you can get some information, but you're not going to build reliable performance under stress in a weekend. It's just not going to happen. And I tell parents that's just feel good stuff. That's not what I do. You know, we're glad to introduce your kid, right, to self-defense. Come on in and take an intro class or two.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. We give intro classes. I don't like feel good seminars. And that's just the blunt truth. I'm not like, people like need to wake up sometimes because they think they can do a little bit, and this is going to keep them safe, and it's going to be magic.
All right. Well, they're super popular. So do self-defense seminars work then? Like, if you go to them and everybody's doing them, are they working?
You know, they can introduce ideas, but they don't build reliable performance under stress.
I see.
You know, it's great to get introduced to something. That's what a seminar is. You know, you're gonna get excited about learning more about it. But when people don't, that's the real danger. And then they think they're good at it, and they're really not. And we can all fool ourselves quite easily on, like, well, I went to the seminar. I, you know, see it all the time, you know, even people that, you know, did some weekend seminar, you know, could be 16 hours, but then they haven't practiced for 12 weeks. You know, even, you know, 4 weeks, those skills are all going downhill. You know, being able to retain that stuff is extremely difficult.
So they're doing some things that work though, right? I mean, for the most part.
You know, seminars, like I said, they can introduce concepts to get you excited about something you've never seen before. You know, they can expose blind spots in your training. You know, wake you up to something. Oh, this is, I've never thought of this. You know, it creates awareness to a topic. You know, maybe, hopefully, it's motivating people to train. But when they don't, you know, they're useless. You know, you know, it's just an introduction to a subject, and people forget that. They feel like they're checking a box. You're not truly safe. I always tell people, I want your kid to be safe and not full of false confidence by doing a feel-good weekend seminar. It's setting people up for failure. I don't want people to fail in the street. I want them to be confident. And, you know, if that's all you want is to feel good, then great, and check a box that, you know, you learn to say, stay back and away. But unless you're practicing that stuff, forget it. It's out the window. I mean, I just talked about it with, you know, a training that we did, and the woman forgot to call for backup. That should be basic 101 stuff. And here's somebody as a professional that forgot that. You think your daughter's going to remember how to do that?
It's hard enough.
You know, it takes practice. Seminars are great to introduce a skill. You know, what self-defense actually requires is repetition, progressive resistance, you know, stress exposure, you know, and that was, you know, what was happening to that woman. There was just a tiny bit of stress, right? You know, and you know you're safe. You know, you're in a training room with your people, friends and, you know, colleagues, and you know it's not real in the back of your head, but just, you know,
just that little stress.
That little bit of stress, you forget things that you're supposed to do. You know, you need that emotional regulation, decision making under fatigue. That's huge.
Whoa, yeah.
You know, and legal understanding. These cannot be compressed, you know, into a weekend seminar and it's just going to be downloaded to you. You know,
yeah, it's not the Matrix.
Yeah. You know, under stress, you're going to default. Defaults are built over time, not I told you to do this, Josh. Okay, yeah, got it. Check. Right. We've constantly talked about that you understand. You're like, yeah, I understand it. But you cannot actually do it. Like understanding it, going, yes, I should call for help. Absolutely. Yeah. But actually just the repetition of doing that in a scenario when there's somebody approaching you, even slowly, is extremely hard.
Yeah. I mean, there's some techniques that I've been doing this a few years now. I've only a couple of times done without thinking about it. Right. And it's just the repetition. So it just shows you that consistency is the key.
Yeah. You know, because the illusion of exposure, you know, attending a seminar creates excitement, right? Emotional intensity, like, and temporary confidence. But excitement is not reliability. Information is not habit. Exposure is not default behavior. I mean, you've done how many? You've done one?
Yeah.
In your
where
training?
It was just natural. It was instant.
Sorry. Yeah. Like,
oh, you're talking about seminars?
You've done one seminar, right?
Yeah.
What was your thought on that seminar?
Well, I was introduced to a lot of information very, very fast. And I think what happens is about 2 days later, as soon as, you know, I was back on Monday morning, I was going back thinking to myself, what the heck did I cover? There was just so much of it. And being exposed to that much of it that fast, I just couldn't keep up with it. Right. It was a lot of information. It was one of those fast seminars, but by the end of it, I was like, man, I really don't remember most of this. I really didn't.
I learned so much that it's just
overwhelmed.
It's overwhelming.
I was.
And you can't, even on Monday, you're going, what
did I do?
What was all that stuff?
Right.
What did that segment
I had a hard time remembering the day too. Like, what did I do on Friday? It's like, what did I do on Saturday? I'm like,
and then a half day.
And I'm blurring together. And I was like, what?
They're great. Again, it's like, that's why you bring in that person that was excited, you know, or go and train with them some more. It creates excitement. It was fun. You feel like you learned a lot. And you can see if you didn't do anything until the next week or 2 weeks, which is pretty darn common when people do a seminar. They don't do anything else after that.
Yeah.
And it's practice. It is practice and more practice.
Yeah. And I felt like it was so compressed. I had to decompress from it. It was just so much. I had to decompress from all the information. It was so much to learn. So why aren't weekends enough for self-defense then?
You know, because stress adaptation, you know, quote unquote, muscle memory and decision-making habits require repetition over time. You have to do this. If you truly want to be safe, you need to dedicate time to training. If not, you're just in the feel-good culture. And I think it's kind of funny because a lot of people in this type of community, whether it's firearms or, you know, martial arts, sport competition, it doesn't matter. They do a weekend seminar and they're falling into the feel-good culture of like, yes, check the box. I did this. Like, I'm even better for it. I went and trained with this person. And, you know, whether they've won titles, whatever, and it's all great exposure, but it's a checkbox a lot of time. Like, oh, train with this person, train with this person, train with this person. Great. Do you remember any of the stuff? You know,
how often are you covering this on your own? Like, do you think about it enough that you can just do it again? And most people would be hard pressed to do it again 3 days later.
Yeah. I mean, repetition matters. You know, skill under stress depends on neurological patterning, you know, muscle memory, emotional regulation, you know, familiarity with the pressure, right? Like we always say, like, that, you know, that kid's getting better, like putting hands on somebody and being comfortable and familiar with somebody grabbing you and where their weight is and all of the things that we need to talk about, you know. those are built through consistency. It's not novelty of a seminar and doing it one time. Like, it's self-defense. It's just not an event. You can't just check the box. It's a discipline. That's what self-defense is about. If you want to be safe.
Doing it. I
mean, false security, who wants that? I mean, I said, we were talking last night in a class about a split, of a school and an instructor. And this guy's like, this guy sucked compared to the head instructor, but he was feel good. He told them, like, they're doing great. And he said he had talked to a couple of people that joined the other school. He goes, he's nice. He tells me I'm doing a good job. I was like, yeah, so many people want a feel good program and not the reality. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's teaching you feel good, but then you get beat up in front of your wife.
Yeah.
So what is it, people? Like, sometimes you're like, grow up.
It doesn't feel very good.
That's reality. You could be all like, I could prop you up and like, you're going to jump in the ring with, I don't know. Evander Holyfield is in my
but yeah, it's like confidence and the false confidence and learning what actual real self-defense is and introducing that stress. So, I mean, is there stuff out there that's better than a seminar?
Consistent weekly training with structured progression and stress exposure. That's what's better. Right? Because again, like false security, misplaced confidence. Someone may think, I've taken a course, I'm good. That belief can lead to escalation, right? Which, is not a good idea, right? Poor decisions, right? Because you just lack training and you do something like, I'm going to front kick them. And, you should have made space.
A lot more to that.
Get distance. And they're all bad. Getting punched in the face is bad, but legal consequences suck. Confidence must match competence.
Yeah.
It is just so huge. What's going to work? And
I always ask myself that, what actually works, right?
2 to 3 days per week. That's what I recommend. 1 day a week is better than nothing, but when you can double your portfolio, do
just
2.
1 extra day. Yeah.
I mean, it makes a big difference, but it's all about consistency. You need a progressive curriculum, structured advancement, stress exposure over time, instructor accountability. Again, back to like, you want the feel good instructor, or you want the one telling you, hey, you're bringing your feet together.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't have a stance in a fight. That is just kindergarten stuff.
Yeah.
Like you need that. Not like, good job. Hey, good. And you're not in a stance. I mean, everybody likes to feel good, getting a belt or stripe on your belt. It's all good stuff. But at the end of the day, as Mr. Miyagi said, my belt is from Kmart. But none of that stuff really matters. It's good. And if you get caught up in a feel good program, you're not going to be feeling so good when you get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
Like that, is definitely what you don't want. But people just get caught up in that feel good culture. It's too bad. Like, I'm going to, pass another stupid level and getting sucked into moving up through.
And we're real self-defense. We're real self-defense.
Self-defense must be built, not sampled. People do that all of the time. Instead of asking, how fast can I learn this? Ask, am I willing to train consistently?
Yeah.
The safest people are not the ones who attend something intense. They're the ones that keep showing up. If you want to go deeper on real-world self-defense, decision-making under stress, and responsible firearms training, everything we teach lives at ClearSky.training. ClearSky is where we break down the thinking behind self-defense, awareness, avoidance, judgment, legality, and decisive action when violence can't be avoided. If you're in Castle Rock, Colorado, and want hands-on training, that philosophy is put into practice at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. Thanks for listening to the John Hallett podcast. As always, train more, suck less.